a severe weather alert.
I am in Waterford where the Logan and Albert rivers, there has been concern about flooding associated with those rivers. They did reach their peak in the last half an hour or so. I'm standing in front of what's normally the footy ground at the Waterford State School, and if you have a look behind me, Jim, there's not much chance that anyone's going to be playing football there for a while. I have spoken to some local residents here and some local businesses. We're just about 10 metres from pre-loved cars, a used car sale yard. They've certainly been preparing for the worst there. I did speak to the owners of that business just a short time ago. Here's what they had to say.
We haven't actually been over to have a look, but I think the Oval's gone, and what else has gone under, Linda?
The bridge is just about over. The Oval. It's quite surrounding, actually.
Yes.
This road over here next to the BP's never ever gone under in the time that we've lived here.
Police do have concerns, Jim, for 4 people who remain missing here in South Queensland. One of them is a man aged in his 50s, David Heidman, who hasn't been seen since Thursday night. He's from Monjul, northwest of Brisbane. There's another man who's aged in his 60s who went bushwalking at Lamington National Park on Wednesday night and hasn't been seen since. A third person they are concerned for is a 77-year-old man who they believe may have been swept away in floodwaters at Eagleby at about 4:30 p.m. yesterday. Now, Eagleby is one of the places that has suffered severe flooding. I was there this morning, and in one area there was a massive flooding. In fact, the water as it came through there yesterday morning had taken everything in its path with it: cars, trucks, even shipping containers that had been moved some 50 metres down the road. I spoke to one of the residents there a short time ago, and here's what he had to say about the situation there.
It was absolutely hammering, mate. It was like being at the beach and watching the surf. It picked up everything. It picked up the 2 containers out the back of our place and just flipped them over, and they were full of stuff. And they're 40-foot containers, so you could just imagine the force of it, mate. It was just unbelievable. You wouldn't be able to beat it, you know.
Jim, there were dramatic scenes there at Eagleby yesterday as fire and rescue services had to go in there and rescue people who were trapped in their homes as those raging floodwaters came through. In one situation, there was a 3-year-old boy who was in a rubber dinghy. As he was being rescued, that vessel flipped over and he went under the water. His grandfather managed to grab hold of the boy, hold him above his head and get him to safety. I spoke to some witnesses of that event. Here's what they had to say.
So the rescue CES come to try and help him, and apparently as they were getting into the boat tumbled a bit and the little fella fell out and went underwater. Apparently he was underwater for a little while, and they got him back up into the boat, and he was in not a very good state. The little fella kept on sort of going off into a sleep, and we were trying to keep him awake till the ambulance turned up.
Just behind us here, on removing some of the personnel from the house with the debris in the water. One of the platforms got caught up and tipped, but fortunately, with the training that we've received, everyone got back in the platform, and we pulled up just behind us here in the yard and brought everyone to safety.
Jim, it's been pretty much blue skies and sunshine here in southern Queensland for the past 24 hours or more, but of course that hasn't stopped the floodwaters from coming through. That's because of that huge deluge of rain that we saw on Thursday in the wake of Tropical Cyclone Debbie. In fact, more than 600 millimetres of rain fell in some of the catchment areas of the Logan and Albert rivers that we've now seen flooding. Authorities are on high alert. You can probably hear there's a helicopter flying around me as we speak, just making sure that people are safe, and many people who have been evacuated from their homes get to higher ground. Authorities are hoping that the worst has passed as far as the flooding goes, but they are warning people to remain vigilant, and that message remains. They're urging people to stay out of the floodwater, for children to stay out of the floodwater, and for also people who are driving around not to drive through flooded roads. It is such a dangerous thing to do, and the last thing that people want to see is another serious injury or a death here in southern Queensland.